introduction, the first edition is a lot different to what Prabhupada stated and dictated. Did Prabhupada ever check the introduction?
No. People have one day I'll probably go and do a history, step by step. One of my god sisters has recently posted something saying that Prabhupada very carefully in 1966 or something went over the entire Bhagavad Gita with Hayagriva Prabhu, carefully going over all the purports. It never happened. Prabhupada himself wrote that at that time, that was 1968, I believe, Hayagriva did come to Los Angeles and did sit with Prabhupada, and that god sister was there. But Prabhupada wrote that Hayagriva was recently here, and together we went over Srimad Bhagavatam. First or second canto, that's what Hayagriva was working on. The history was that Hayagriva had edited the Bhagavad Gita up to a certain point, and then he left. He took a temporary vacation from the Hare Krishna movement. There was some incident involving Kirtanananda Swami, and Hayagriva Prabhu was very close with Kirtanananda Swami. So by that influence, he left. And it was during that time that the contract was signed with Macmillan for the abridged Bhagavad Gita. And Ray Rama Prabhu, who was at that time the editor of Back to Godhead, finished editing the book and flew out to Los Angeles. And as explained to me by Brahmananda Prabhu, who was president of ISKCON New York at that time, and the person most connected with the tradition, Prabhupada and Ray Rama together decided, or Ray Rama decided, and Prabhupada, with Prabhupada's approval and input, where to cut. Because Macmillan said they had a set of books that they were publishing, and this had to fit the format of the other books, so it had to be about 300 pages. So no Sanskrit verses, transliteration, no Devanagari, no word for word, and we have to cut a lot of the purports. So Ray Rama did that cutting with Prabhupada's input and approval, and then Macmillan published that edition. Then I joined, not long after, 1968, and Bhagavad Gita was completely off the table. Hayagriva was working on first canto, second canto, and sometime like around 1970, the idea started coming that, well, this book is selling and Macmillan's now showing a little interest in the complete edition. So Hayagriva gathered whatever manuscripts there were. I sent him the ones that I'd retyped. He had some that he kept. But whatever manuscripts there were, we gave Hayagriva a full set of whatever we had, and Hayagriva began completing the book for the second edition, or rather for the first unabridged edition. The main thing he did was redid a lot of the translations he'd done before. He reconsidered them, and from a literary point of view or whatever other thoughts, criteria he had, and in fact pasted over some of his older translations to newer versions. I was the production manager for the book. I was sitting in New York at ISKCON Press, and so he was sending the manuscripts to me. I would sometimes say, hi Guga, I don't think this, I don't think that, or maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. And sometimes he would agree, and sometimes he would disagree. I was a junior guy at that time, not experienced very much in editing, not as experienced as a devotee. But sometimes he would agree, sometimes he would not agree. He finished up the whole book, working mostly from his old manuscripts, the one that he'd already worked on. He didn't like Ray Rama's editing so much. But he finished up the job. It came through me as production manager, Prabhupada had no involvement whatsoever until the book, except to push me and say, when is it going to be ready? Prabhupada was very sharp with me, that you're, dragging your feet. The whole world is waiting for this book, and you told me this and you told me that, but where's the book? He wasn't getting into different editorial issues. Sometimes he was. There were some verses missing, some synonyms missing, and so I would write to Prabhupada and say, Prabhupada, this or that we need, and Prabhupada would send them. And either I would edit that or Haigreva would edit that. But mostly, Prabhupada wasn't involved. He was traveling all over the world. And finally, the book was done. I sent Srila Prabhupada blueprints. Blueprints means like a proof copy of all the text. Prabhupada sent it all back, or either sent it back with no corrections practically, or said, okay, this is all right. I forget whether he sent the physical proofs or not, but basically didn't do anything with them. And we went ahead and published them. The little story that Prabhupada very carefully looked over everything, working shoulder to shoulder with Haigreva, is mythology. It's mythology. For the time before I joined, which means before 1968, we have Prabhupada's letters to refer to, we have the history to refer to. And in 1968 I joined. And then I can tell you the history from first person experience because I was in charge of the book, which didn't get started until 1970. And by that time Prabhupada's in India, Prabhupada's traveling all over the world. Haigreva is teaching at Ohio State University. He's not sitting with Prabhupada going over. And Prabhupada's moving ahead. He's working on 4th canto, 5th canto. So, not 5th canto yet, but 3rd canto, 4th canto. He's not sitting with Haigreva going back and doing another Gita. It's just not true. And maybe people have an impression that memory is a funny thing. We get a certain impression in our mind. But you can go back through the folio and see when Haigreva is with Prabhupada, because if he's writing a letter, my dear Haigreva, then he's not sitting next to Haigreva. So you can chalk out, and from Haigreva's own writing, he tells you when he's with Prabhupada. Sometimes he has it a little bit wrong because the letters contradict him, but pretty much. And you can see that, Haigreva was with Prabhupada a lot, 1967. 1966, 67. That's when he's with Prabhupada. A lot, because they're both in New York, or both in San Francisco in the summer of love kind of days. But after that, in the days when the book was actually being prepared for printing by Macmillan, it's a whole different story. And I was there. So, the moral of the story is, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Or in fact, there's schools, courses in schools these days for those who are growing up with the internet as part of instruction on critical thinking. Kids are taught basically, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Look at the site, see who the people are who are behind the site. Is it a professor or a Dundik or who is this guy? What are their authorities? Is it just wild talk, or does it have authority to it? Don't believe just because you read it on the internet that it's got to be true. Use your critical faculties. So we need to do that when we go to the internet.